Hi guys, it's SimLicy here, so welcome to another speed build. So today I am building here in the world of Copperdale, which is of course the world that we got in the high school years expansion pack. So it's a fairly new world because that was the last expansion pack that we got. And that was like a month and a half ago, something like that. It's been a little bit of time, but not very long. And actually when we first got this world, it had some pretty harsh shadows, especially like midday in this world. But thankfully with the latest patch, they've kind of eased up on the shadows. I think they kind of changed the angle of the sunlight in the world, if I remember correctly. I think that's what they did. But either way, it's a lot easier to build in this world. It's a lot easier to see because I was even noticing when I would watch other people's speed builds how dark the world was, and I was honestly not really planning on building here very much, but thankfully they fixed it because yeah, I guess a lot of people brought it to their attention, and I'm really thankful. So anyways, today I am building a modern style home for Copperdale. So far I've built pretty traditional homes, suburban-y type houses, and I wanted to do something a little bit different, and I found an image on Pinterest. I'll put it up on screen so you guys can see what I was looking at, but basically I could just see that build in this world and it was really inspiring to me. So I just started building it without any real plan on who was going to live in this particular home, but as I was building it, I kind of developed a story and a personality for the sim that lives here. I think it's either a single sim or a couple. I don't know, I haven't quite decided on that, so if you guys have an idea, let me know. But I definitely think like the main sim that lives here is a retired musician, and I think they were part of like a band, but not like the lead singer, so their face isn't that recognizable, so they can kind of live amongst regular people basically and not really get noticed unless somebody's like a super big fan. But I imagine they were like the guitarist or something like that, and so they're very wealthy. They retired young. I imagine the band probably still does some gigs every once in a while, but mainly they're fairly retired. And so I was thinking this sim really loves nature, loves hiking, fishing, and all of those sorts of like outdoor activities. And so when they were looking for a place to retire to, Copperdale was like perfect for them basically. And it's a small enough place and people don't really, I guess, keep up with pop culture basically. So he blends in perfectly to this world. And so I thought that that was a really nice idea and nobody recognizes him. And I think it's pretty fun. So let me know what you guys think about that story. And I really just tried to make the home feel clean, modern, and also I tried to add music equipment. So in the dining room, there's a keyboard, there's a signed guitar and a microphone in the bedroom. And then the garage is more of like kind of like a rec space. It's a functioning garage, like there's some storage and stuff, but mostly the sim uses it as their hangout and maybe like a little bit of practice space. And thankfully there's no neighbors like close by, so the sim is able to like play music as loud as they want basically any time of day and nobody hears them. I mean, unless they're out like hiking around in the trails, because it looks like maybe there's some places for your sims to walk. Honestly, I don't know though. I've never played in this world. I mean, I've done some play testing, but I haven't actually played. And I should probably play at some point because it would probably be helpful for building, because then I'd have a better idea what Sims can actually do. But you guys are pretty good about letting me know in the comments. But yeah, over here is going to be a garage, and so that's the garage space that I was talking about where the sim like does all of their music. And I also really liked the landscaping on this build. This wasn't necessarily taken from the inspiration image. I was just kind of making up what I thought looked nice with the house. And so I did like gravel flower beds, and then I incorporated a few like greenery with some white flowers and some rocks. And then I also used some live edit objects agave plants, and I feel like they probably don't grow very easily in this world, but the sim has managed to take care of them here. I feel like that happens every once in a while. I grew up in Oregon, which is the Pacific Northwest, so it's very wet. There's lots of evergreen trees and ferns and, you know, moss and those sorts of plants that thrive in a more wet environment. And kind of like are cold hardy basically. And every once in a while you would go see somebody's house or go past a house and they would have like a palm tree, and you're like, how is this palm tree surviving? Like, what are they doing? And so I kind of was thinking it was one of those cases, and so I thought that was kind of a fun idea because it felt kind of like nostalgic for me in a way, and kind of realistic too. So let me know if you guys ever like run into that when you're in a more like a colder sort of place, or a place where tropical plants or desert-like plants don't typically grow, and then you see one thriving and you just wonder how it happened. Because I feel like that's happened to me a lot. Here I'm just expanding the side of the house just a little bit, making the garage a little bit bigger, because I knew I was going to want to have the bedroom on that side of the build and I wanted space for it, and I was just basically trying to make the back of the build look nice with the front of the build, because I definitely was mainly looking at inspiration for the front of the house and kind of just making up the back of it to fit the front. And basically I just mirrored it for the most part. I added a little extra porch at the back, and I just have like a little outdoor seating area with a barbecuer. And I also really love the skylight that I put above the main area, or like the middle area of the house, and that's where the kitchen is. And this kitchen is so just like dreamy in my opinion. Like, this sim definitely probably likes to cook, or maybe they live with a significant other and they like to cook. I don't know. Let me know if you guys have any ideas, but I definitely think if you're going to buy a house like this that has this kitchen, cooking is one of your top priorities. So hopefully you guys like that. And here I'm using the new windows that came with the luxury or desert luxe kit. I thought they were perfect for adding that sort of like modern feel, and they were really interesting looking. This feels like a super custom home in my opinion, and so I felt like adding windows like that really added to that like custom look. And I thought they were really interesting. And also, speaking of that kit, I used the couches again. Okay, so I'm going to use them quite a bit. I just used them in the farmhouse. I used them in this build. I just finished 2 apartments using them. I'm gonna have to like space them out a little bit so you guys don't get too burnt out on those couches, but they're new and I like them. They're pretty, and I feel like with doing modern interiors, we don't have a lot of great like modern couches that look comfortable. A lot of them look either just like too firm, or they don't have pillows, or they kind of look modern but then they, I don't know, have some like weird color or something. I just feel like we don't have like a lot of great options, and so I've been on kind of a modern kick lately, and they're just so perfect. And I actually finished 888 Spire apartment, and I'm so excited. I know so many of you guys have been asking for so long, and it's a build for my save file, and that's another thing that you guys have been asking about a lot. I've gotten questions in the comments, I've gotten questions on Twitter about it, so you guys are definitely like wondering what's going on with the save file. I don't have anything other than that in like works for it right now. I just haven't been that inspired to work on the save in a while. It's just such a big project, and I feel like it's easy to get kind of burnt out, and yeah, I don't know, I just haven't been that inspired. And we've gotten so many new worlds and things since I've released the second version of it that I'm just so behind, and it's kind of discouraging. But you know, I'll keep working on it, and I do have one coming up, like I said, but I'm probably gonna space it out a little bit just so you guys don't get burnt out on the couches, because I use the couches in that apartment. But yeah, I just like them, and yeah, you'll see them here on this interior. But right now I'm working on the floor plan, trying to figure out where all of the rooms are going to be located, how everything's going to flow together. I actually really like this floor plan. It's very different, I think, than pretty much any floor plan I've done before. It only has 1 bathroom and 1 bedroom, by the way. If you really wanted to, you could probably squeeze in another bathroom, and you could easily turn the garage into a second bedroom if you would like to, but I really imagined that this was for a single sim or a couple only, and they're like, you know, adults verging on becoming elders, but maybe they're just some really wealthy young adults and they don't have children either. So I don't know, I think there's a lot of possibilities. Here I'm working on the landscaping at the back of the build. I just continued with my idea for the front with the gravel flower beds and some evergreen trees. I used these ones that came from the werewolves pack. I just really love the texture on them. I think they look so good. Like, the leaf texture is interesting, and the bark has some sort of like a roughness to it, and some like moss and different sort of like just textures and stuff. So it looks a lot more interesting in my opinion than some of the other evergreen like trees that we have in game. And then over here I have these two trees, but I do swap it out for just a single tree, one that came with the high school years pack so it blends in nicely to the world. These ones came with high school years too, just kind of felt like a bit much to have another set of two tall trees on the opposite side, and I wanted to keep the other one, so I felt like they were more of a priority in my opinion. Here I'm adding a couple more chimneys. These chimneys came from Seasons, and I just sized them up a little bit using the tool mod just so they fit the look of the house a little bit better and looked a little bit fuller and a little bit bigger. And I do end up placing a fireplace in the bedroom, so there's two of them in the build, one in the bedroom and then one in the living room, and both of them are from the Desert Luxe kit, just because I'm obsessed and I really think that style actually goes really nicely with this particular style. So it was kind of nice that that pack could be so versatile, even though it's very desert themed. I'm really enjoying it. Like the wallpaper I think is really cool. It's very interesting. And then also the flooring is really pretty too. So I'm just completely obsessed. Are you guys liking it as well? And speaking of it, it is free. So you might as well get it because it's free. And it's only going to be free for so long, I believe October 17th. So yeah, I think that's very exciting. Hopefully more things are going to be free. And then after the 17th, so the 18th moving forward, the base game is going to be free. And I'm definitely planning on some base game builds for that when that happens. So definitely if you have friends that don't have The Sims yet, let them know that it's going to be free. And yeah, I'll be working on some base game builds. So hopefully I can have a couple of them up for when the base game is free, basically. But anyways, here I have moved on to the interior. For the decorating style, I went with lots of browns, blacks, creams, whites, just very, very earthy and natural feeling. I think that that suits this build pretty well. I think it matches the style of the exterior, and I think it matches the Sim that I had in mind, since the Sim I think really likes the outdoors, and they have probably lived a pretty chaotic lifestyle basically, and I think they were probably part of like a rock band, so I imagine most of their life has been pretty wild and crazy, and now that they are at least retired, they've slowed down at some, in some way. And so this is their tranquil space. This is their dream home. And I wanted it to feel more just like a calm, kind of neutral environment. And I guess I'm just kind of in the mood for that, basically because of the Desert Luxe kit is very neutral. The next apartment that I'm doing is a very neutral style apartment, and even the 888 Spire apartment is quite neutral as well. It's a little bit more like fancy and high-end, because I think that suits that style of apartment. And I'm just like completely blown away that I actually built something in that apartment, because I have really been dreading it and very just intimidated by that apartment. So hopefully you guys are looking forward to it. I'm working on a suburban home right now, and that one is definitely not going to need the Desert Luxe kit that much. I mean, maybe I'll use like one or two things perhaps, if that, but yeah, I'll try to put that in somewhere in the middle to kind of break up so much Desert Luxe stuff. But yeah, anyways, over here is the dining room, and over here I'm creating a little bit of like a music space with the keyboard. I also put a music trophy, which I thought was pretty nice to include in this build, and then some artwork, and then there's just like a few candles on the dining table, and that's pretty much it. So it's very simple, but I loved using that dining table. I think it came from Cats and Dogs, but it's just extremely like rustic, and I think it just suits the build so nicely. And then over here is the entryway. So for the entryway, I just put like a few simple entryway like decorations, and I think it looks really nice. I was kind of bothered by the coat rack because it didn't span across the 2-tile wall that I have it next to. So I tried placing two of them next to each other, and they didn't overlap very nicely with like the scarves and everything and like the shoes. So what I decided to do was change the wall color behind it. And then once I did that, I think it didn't bother me as much. It didn't look as like awkward and empty place there. And so I think that was a pretty good solution. And then over here is going to be that dreamy, amazing kitchen that I was talking about earlier. I'm completely obsessed with this kitchen. I think it is so just interesting and unique and refreshing, and I had so much fun decorating this kitchen. And so hopefully you guys like it as much as I do, because I just think it is so cool. I love the big windows. You have the view of like the carnival area, and you have the front view of the house, which is like all foresty, and then the lake, and it's really cool. Like I think this would be such a cool spot to be. So I really like that. I decided to do two of the glass skylights above the kitchen island so I could fit the range hood. I thought that this range hood would just match the style of the kitchen really nicely, and I don't think making the skylights smaller and, you know, separating them really took too much away from that. So I felt like that worked out pretty nicely. And then here I'm trying to find some like clutter items to put around the kitchen, and I tried to keep this pretty simple. I wanted it to feel like a sim actually lived here, so I do add some decorations, but I think for this particular style, a lot of clutter isn't necessary and just would look kind of out of place, especially since how minimal I was decorating the rest of the interior. So I tried to continue with that, but with kitchens, I really like clutter, so it's kind of hard, but I think I added just enough. But of course, you guys can let me know what you guys think. Maybe you disagree, or maybe you guys would do something different. Definitely let me know. But I thought it looked really nice, and I really liked how the stovetop was on the island, but then the oven part is over by the refrigerator. I liked how they're separate, and I just thought that looked so nice. And I just love the view from these windows. Like, it looks so good. Oh yeah, over here I'm using some of the wine racks that came from, I think it's from the Dine Out game pack. But I sized them down and then I stacked them on top of each other. It just looks like a big wine collection, basically, is what I was thinking. And then here is the outdoor area. So I just put a couple of like little couches, basically, well, a couch and a seat. I use these ones that came from Seasons. I think the style of these also worked really nicely with the style of the build. And then the barbecue came from the Desert Luxe kit, and I also thought that was pretty perfect for this style too. So yeah, it's just a nice little outdoor space. I thought about putting an outdoor dining table there as well, but I decided not to. The space was pretty small. If you really wanted an outdoor dining space, there is the porch that wraps around the other side. I didn't add anything over there just because I didn't think it was totally necessary, but you could easily fit just like a tiny, you know, two-seater dining table over there, and you could easily have your Sims dine outside and have like a great view of the water. And I don't think it would take up too much space in the porch area, because that's why I didn't add anything, because that porch was so small, and I just felt like it would just be too crowded and cramped. But you could probably fit a small dining table or even a chess table too. But I didn't really see chess as being too much of this Sims thing. They're definitely more into like music, and I also thought reading too, so I put some bookcases in here. I definitely think they're probably mostly music books, probably some like novels and other books and stuff too, but probably they primarily read about music, because this Sims whole world. They're completely obsessed. And so I think that's a nice idea. But anyways, this is the bedroom. The bedroom feels very industrial because the side tables and the dressers that I used came from the industrial loft kit, but I really like them. I think the style of them actually goes really nicely with this build. And then that chair that I placed in the corner came from Snowy Escape, and I sized it up using the tool mod just because when I placed it, I liked it with like the fuzzy throw and like the colors and everything, and it matches the bed nicely because the bed also came with that pack. But the chair just looked so puny over there. It just looked so small. And so I don't exactly know how it's going to look if your Sims sit on that chair, because I did size it up. So if it bothers you, you could of course just remove that one and place the same chair again in its place, and it'll be the regular size. And so it shouldn't have any weird interactions with the Sims or anything. But I don't know, I felt like the chair just looked so small, but I wanted to use that one, so sizing it up was a good solution for me. And then over here is going to be the bathroom. So like I was saying earlier, this is the only bathroom in the build, and I think it ends up being really nice. I decided to do this cool like double shower over here. Right here I was trying to find a glass piece to make it look like it had like a door that was open, but all of the doors at an angle, or all of the windows that I was trying to use, they like became like wider when I placed them on the wall. So I just felt like it was going to take up way too much space and not really have the look that I was going for, because I more wanted it to feel just like a little glass piece was just like propped open, or the door to the shower was open a little bit. But I think for this particular case, it wasn't going to work out the way I wanted to. But I really like how I used the platform to raise up the shower onto another level. I thought that looked really interesting. And then other than that, there's of course a sink, a toilet, some bathroom clutter items, and yeah, I don't know, I think it looks nice. I think it matches the rest of the build. It's just like a nice bathroom basically. And then of course I'm using these curtains that came from the Desert Luxe kit throughout the entire build. I'll probably use these curtains too much, but I really love how the curtain rod is separated, so you can actually span them across, you know, a single tile window or 2, 3, 4, like basically as many tiles long as you want it to be, because they're completely customizable. So it's very awesome in my opinion, and I hope that these aren't going to be the only curtains that they do this with, because I would love to see more of it. And then over here is going to be the garage space. So like I was saying, for the garage, I think it's a functional garage. I think they do have things like, you know, they have their bicycles in here and maybe some storage. I put some base game shelves in here that look like it might have some garage related decor on it, but it still felt quite industrial looking. And then I also placed some music equipment in there. I decided to replace the guitar that I had in the bedroom for that signed one, because I was thinking they would probably keep the signed guitar somewhere safer, like inside the house and not in the garage, because I feel like maybe the garage would be easier to break into. I don't know, but I think, I mean, we don't have burglars in the game, so I guess that's not going to happen, but I don't know, it just felt like it would be safer to have it in the bedroom. But I think this home is probably pretty safe, and that's why this sim feels pretty comfortable about keeping the rest of their music equipment in the garage. And so I really enjoyed adding these in here. We have some really great items from like the Moschino stuff pack, and so like the instrument cases that I use in here came with that stuff pack. We also have these really nice art pieces that came from the Get Famous expansion pack. So they're like these framed guitars. I guess they're supposed to be like famous guitars from like movies or something, but maybe they're supposed to be musicians' guitars. I don't know, but I thought they were perfect to add in here, and I don't think they would have looked that great maybe in the rest of the interior. I don't know, I might be wrong, but I didn't think about using them till I was decorating the garage, so maybe they would be better off in the inside of the house. But I felt like it really added to the look of the garage, so I was pretty happy with the way that all came together. And then I just added some dumpsters in here, and then this is pretty much it for the entire build. I hope you guys have enjoyed this one. I hope you guys do enjoy the screenshots. Here I'm just adding the final few details, and then we're on to screenshots. So thank you guys so much for watching, and please leave any comments or suggestions you have, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye!
Wearing holes in the carpet, counting steps.